Mike's Daily Podcast.
I am dedicating today's show to a man by the name of Mark Hill, sometimes known as Mark James. Mark Hill is the reason why I do characters today at almost 50 years old, and why I do what I do on this podcast. He passed away this morning, so heartbreaking. Now, Mike's Daily Podcast. This is episode 1628, 1628. So Mike's Daily Podcast. Back in 1993, I got somebody who gave me a tip and said there was some kind of job that I might be cool with. They said, hey, how are you with country music? And I said, well, I don't know it that well. Wait a minute, I know an Alabama song or two. Is it Alabama? The closer we get, Mike's Daily Podcast, the further I fall. I'll be over the edge now in no time at all. Mike's That's Alabama. Daily. Which then I lived in Alabama Podcast for 2 years, ironically. Yeah! Well, this person that I worked with named Patty Hansen said, because I was working with her at a classic rock station, she said, look, they're looking for people to work at this country station. And, you know, country's really big now. It was in 93. Garth Brooks was huge. Alabama was huge. You had all these guys with cowboy hats, hot country as they were calling it. Look who just walked in. And I said, okay, oh wait, let's say some hi to some people.
Hello, Mike Matthews, it's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Mark Hill didn't like me.
No, he did not like you because you were a character that I came up with. He only liked it when I did impressions. If there were people that like Sean Connery or something.
Your Sean Connery impression is terrible.
What? Look who else walked in. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Yes, you created all these characters while doing the Santa Fe Cafe, which was a show that he came up with. That's true. This all goes back to him. Yes. Mark Hill was the one who came up with the Santa Fe Cafe, I think, or it was Bob Allen, one of those guys. And Bob Allen left, and I took over the show. And so, okay, in honor of Mark, I'll do a little.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's Sean Connery. And the podcast picture today is something to do with Mike. Yes.
Something to do with it. Well, we'll see. We'll find something. So Mark said to me, well, I was doing part-time there at the Café on the weekends, and I enjoyed it. The music was very upbeat. This is how Mark picked the music. It was fast song, fast song, fast song, a slow song. There were a lot of country ballads. There will always be country ballads. Some of the most memorable country songs are country ballads. You probably have heard at a wedding, if tomorrow never comes, or I cross my heart and promise you to give you all I give, and I got to be so blue in all the world. Da-da-da-do. George Strait, or I tip my hat to the keeper of the stars. Oh, God, all those songs we used to play over and over and over again. Or Shania Twain. Looks like we made it. Looks so far we've done, my baby. You're still the one I run to. The only one I'm home to. People go, I hate country music. And then all of a sudden you play, I hurt myself today beyond this crown of thorns, and I will make you. That's Trent Reznor. No, that's Johnny Cash taking Trent Reznor's song and kicking it out of the frickin' universe, you idiot. Trent Reznor. Oh. Okay, we understand you're full of pain and you're angry. You were pertinent in the 90s. Don't make your movie soundtracks go away. The thing is, Mark Hill got me into country music, got me into meeting Garth Brooks. I was just talking to my lovely lady friend DT, a lovely lady friend, and she and I were discussing the first time I met Garth Brooks, which was at when Garth got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Mark asked me, hey, do you want to escort these winners down to Los Angeles, and you'll be in front of the Capitol Records building and you'll get to meet Garth Brooks? And I'm like, heck yeah. So we're driving down there, and the two ladies, they're Hispanic, and they're, Mike, we want to give Garth Brooks flowers. Can we stop somewhere and get some flowers? And this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And so, oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, along with that, we had an issue with one of the radio stations I work for this morning, so I'm taking care of an emergency. So yeah, that we did stop, get flowers. We were the only, there were a lot of radio stations there, but these were the only listeners that actually gave Garth Brooks flowers. And it was the first time I met a major musician celebrity like that. And he signed my cowboy hat, and I still have that cowboy hat, and he was the nicest guy. I also got to meet Dick Clark that day, and I got to meet this famous photographer who took all these iconic photos of all these like Rolling Stone, early 70s, late 70s, Laurel Canyon rock stars, all those guys, Janis Joplin. This guy took all these pictures. I forget his name. But I talked to him for a long time as we're sitting on the top of the Capitol Records building, having hors d'oeuvres, drinking. It was amazing. You suddenly catapulted this flea into this beautiful, heavenly world. I was like on top of the bed, of the nicest bed. I was a flea on a bed with a bunch of cake. I was a happy flea, and I was bouncing around on the bed. Like so. So, Mark is gone, and I don't want to get into... Sorry, I had to keep bouncing on the bed a little bit. I don't want to get into exactly what killed him. It was some crazy disease that just out of the blue, and he actually tried to do like a Patreon to pay for a van that would pick him up and take him to his treatments, and it was just... I don't know. Something, the news, actually, he made the news in the Observer, and it says, Mark James Hill, 65, of Dunkirk, radio personality for Kix Country. He was still working in radio, still doing country music. I know he was in Washington for a while, in like Wenatchee, or one of those things with a W, in one of those towns. I remember he told me he called me up after he had left Ventura, because this was all in Ventura County that I worked for Mark Hill. And he said, hey, we got a job up here if you want to work up here in Washington. And then he ended up in Billings, Montana for a while. And then I think was this Buffalo, New York? Well, it says here, I don't know where, I'm in the Observer. Where's this? Dunkirk, New York. There we go. Memorial services he died this morning at home. Memorial services will be held this Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock in the McGraw-Cowell Funeral Home. Mark Thomas will officiate. Calling hours will be held Sunday from noon to 2 hours prior to the service. Complete obituary will be published in Saturday's Observer. So that's where he ended up. Mark gave me a lot of advice as far as radio goes. He was, for example, this whole show, he would probably be against, because I am talking now for 9 minutes. He is always, keep it short, keep it under, well, he was saying keep it under 2 minutes. Nowadays they say keep it under 10 seconds. But he wanted me to do funny things on the radio. He liked my theater of the mind mentality, and having doors open and people walking in and doors slamming shut. And then all the other sound effects and talking to the people on the radio. He liked that. He liked all the radio type stuff, and I really appreciated that. And he also would allow me to throw some requests on, although I would get long lectures. Oh, why did you play that song? You can't do that. You can't play that. So, Mark, I'm gonna miss you, man. Sorry I didn't talk to you for the longest time. Well, we did talk, actually. I mean, as much as we could talk. He gave me some advice, actually. A couple years ago, I was feeling kind of down because I couldn't get back into radio. I'd been out of it for a long time. And he was, Mike, don't forget, you did the Santa Fe Cafe, and you did all this stuff. And there was a radio consultant that I once talked to that said this. Well, I was going by Matt Michaels. This Matt Michaels is so talented. Oh, the characters he does. Wow, this is great. You know, his show is very engaging and entertaining. And he gave me that bit of advice. So, though I didn't talk to him every day and haven't talked to him in a long time, I'm still going to miss him. And he'll always be. He was one of those people I've talked about on the show. You need to keep positive people in your life. There are Debbie Downers. Thank you, Rachel Dretch, for that wonderful character. Debbie Downers in our life. Those wah, wah, wah type people that are, where is it? Here it is. That are just always in your life and bring you down, and they never have a nice thing to say about anything. I hate this, I hate that. You need them out of your life, or push them to the periphery as much as possible. And keep the people in your life that are positive. And that's what Mark Hill was. He was positive. I should have kept him a little bit more in my life, but I didn't, and I'll regret that. But he was a great guy, and the outpouring of people's thoughts to this today, you know, what they remembered with Mark on Facebook. And it's all on Facebook, and I hate that. No, that's my little womp moment. I do hate the fact that Facebook seems to be the place where we go, and I do kind of detest the people when someone dies, all they do is do a sad face, a crying face. Write something. Put something down. In this post, apparently, this string that's going on, this thread that people are posting on, there is, it's being tagged back to Mark's wife, so she'll at least get to see, and hopefully other family members of Mark, that he was an influence on so many people, so many lives. So that's the only problem I have with, I mean, that's a blessing and a curse about Facebook. Of course, Analytica is getting all that information. Cambridge is getting all that information. But as Mr. Zuckerberg said,
we have a basic responsibility to protect people's data. And if we can't do that, then we don't deserve to have the opportunity to serve people.
But back to Mark. What a great guy. So I just wanted to go on that little tangent about Mark this morning. As it is morning at 6:29, and I'm doing this show pretty late today. But that's that, and the podcast picture today is something that, yesterday I got to go to Fairmont Ridge with the wonderful Basil the Boxer. Oh, here's an interesting thing. So somebody recently sent me these pictures from an event that I did, and I was wondering why they sent me these pictures. But I know there's someone that I'm on their mind a lot lately because they want me to do something for them. And I can't do what they want me to do. It involves equipment, which I do not have. So that's interesting. I'm going to leave that as completely cryptic as possible. But that's how that is. Hey, I would sure love to get into my voicemail right now and play you the message I got to help me with my ear that was hurting the other day. But I think Sylvia would get pretty mad. Sylvia gave me this great advice. I talked about it on the last show when my ear was hurting really bad. And she told me, you can put this... the recipe was hilarious. It's a garlic clove, but the steps that were involved olive oil, a garlic clove, and then a cotton ball. And it was, I will forever hold on to that voicemail, Sylvia, and that recipe. It's just amazing. I wanted to eat the damn cotton ball, though, not put it in my ear. But apparently it worked. It helped her husband. So right on there. I don't know what I'm going to do for a podcast picture today. I think we will go without Basil. We've had Basil on several podcast pictures. Why don't we go back to a time maybe 2 years ago? Want to go back in time with me? I think that might be fun. We'll hop in the time machine with Huey Lewis in the News and go back. Because we don't need money, don't need fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's tougher than diamonds and stronger than steel. You won't feel nothing till you feel. Can you feel the power? Just feel the power of love. That's the power. You'll feel the power of love. You'll feel the power of love. And that's what Mark talked about with me. Mark was a very... He was spiritual, but he hated dogma. We would discuss dogma a lot. He told me this expression countless times. If you see your guru in the middle of the road, drive over him. He said, like, basically we get into these frames of thought where all our beliefs are dictated to us. We never actually think about our beliefs. We never analyze what we believe. And that's bad, he said. He would tell me these things. And I was, oh, that's a good point. And I think in some ways he's right. But, okay, well, I think we're going to go to Florida. Mom's on my mind lately. I'm going to be going to visit her. Nope, we're not going to go to Florida. We're going to go to the wonderful Half Moon Bay, which I might go to this weekend. Although it's going to be windy. I just heard on the weather report, we're going to have, like, small craft warnings and whatnot. And my lady friend is petite, and she's a small craft, and I don't want, that's a warning against her. Huh? What? She said to me, I'm not petite. Okay. How come I can pick you up then? You're so light. Light as a feather. So, my point is, I'm not that strong, so she must be light in order for me to pick her up. No, she's very wonderful, and now I'm looking at podcast pictures of San Francisco, Petaluma. I can't find a dang thing today. I guess we could just say, oh, what is that? There's a odd, okay. This is a strange place in Petaluma that sells pies. Oh, and they got all these cool things on their wall, like egg beaters. And they made out of pie shells like a horse walking across the wall. Ooh, maybe we'll get with that. All right, that's what we'll do. I don't know the name of this pie place, and I don't want to give them free publicity, but I will show the inside of their place. It's cute. It's a Petaluma, which I have not been to in a while. Maybe we'll go there. I don't know. The world's our oyster. We'll do whatever. Hey, thanks for sitting through this part of the show where I was just trying to come up with stuff randomly. So Prince Charles is going to walk Meghan Markle because her dad's a little sick. Can't make it. So Prince Charles, isn't that sweet? That is so sweet. The lovely Meghan Markle will be walked down the aisle by Prince Charles. Fascinating life. I've watched a couple of documentaries on Prince Charles. Who knows when he'll become king, because his mom seems to last forever. But Prince Charles has done a lot, has taken up a lot of causes that were outside the norm for the British royalty, and kudos to him. White House is threatening firings as after the McCain remark got out, where somebody said, and it was the Kelly Sadler made that morbid remark about John McCain, and John has led to a push to fire those responsible for leaking the story. And the White House was at first saying nothing about it, but now apparently they're threatening to do some firing. So we'll see how that goes. And then there also is a news story here that Trump administration is going to bar abortions at facilities receiving federal funds. Clinics that provide abortions or refer patients to places that do would lose federal funding under a new rule that takes direct aim at Planned Parenthood. And, that's a Republican thing. So that was probably to be expected. And apparently Paul Manafort, who's all in the legal issues, problems, Russia, collusion, etc., his former son-in-law has cut a plea deal. Chely Shoehart, the one-time chairman of Trump's campaign, rather, not the only, but the one-time chairman, has cut a plea deal with the Justice Department that requires him to cooperate, interestingly enough. Cut a plea deal with the Justice Department that requires him to cooperate with other criminal probes. 2 people with knowledge of the matter said. The guilty plea agreement, which is under seal and has not been previously reported, could add to the legal pressure on Manafort, who is facing 2 indictments brought by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller, by the way, what a freaking amazing history, that guy. NPR was talking about that yesterday on All Things Considered, about how he was in Vietnam, was like a general, Marine, saved a bunch of men when they were under fire, just a total hero, like crazy hero. Did things that blow my mind. Amazing man. Saved lives, etc. And so we'll see. He's a former business partner, Chely Shoehart, former business partner of Manafort, who was divorced from Manafort's daughter, actually, last August. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Thanks for listening to the show today. So, Mark Hill is gone, and I guess it always brings to mind that you should speak to the people that are big influences in your life every chance you get, every chance you can, and remember those that are important in your life, and say something to them while they're here is the important thing. So that's a lesson I sadly have yet to learn today. But next show, it is going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Other great characters that I came up with whilst under Mark Hill's tutelage. Although Mark probably would not agree with those. He used to pull me aside and go, "Hey, those characters are great, Mike, but really stick to the Homer Simpson. Stick to the Marge Simpson." Go! But then another great radio person who I sadly lost a few years ago, Lee Marshall, told me, no, you've got to do, and Lee knew Mark. They had some interesting conversations back and forth. Lee said, and they're in heaven together, I'm believing right now, talking to each other, talking radio right now. And Lee would say to me, no, come up with those characters, be creative, come up with your own thing. And that's my advice to you. Keep your eyes on your own paper, as Jeff Goldblum, who is still with us, thankfully, and will hopefully be with us for a long time. He once said that in a newspaper article I read. And it's true. You got to do your own thing. Go your own way. And even if you're Lindsey Buckingham and you just got kicked out of Fleetwood Mac and you got replaced by the wonderful Neil Finn of Crowded House and that other guy from the Rolling Stones, you know what? Go your own way is what I'm saying, and have a great weekend. I will not do a Super Secret Sunday show. I'll be back, though, hopefully on Monday if all goes well. Enjoy your weekend, though, and have a great day. Thank you.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!